You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
So happy to have you with me today on this Weight Loss and Wellness Wednesday. So what I'd like to do today is really give you an insider look inside my practice of how I help people to determine which foods may really be holding them back from getting truly well, from removing the brain fog, from reducing the allergy-based responses, removing the bloating, getting rid of a lot of that joint pain. So what we do in my practice is, I work with a lot of people with so-called mystery-based illnesses, right? Or mystery-based weight loss, meaning like they've tried everything to get well, lose weight, and just feel better, but nothing's worked for them. So a lot of times I get told, well, you're my last stop. This is it. If you can't figure it out, then I'm just not going to do anything anymore. And although I don't like to hear that, I totally understand where they're coming from, because I've said that same thing myself to actually more doctors that I could care to share many, many years ago. So I know where that mindset comes from, and I do appreciate it, but I always want people to know that in our life right now, in our life overall, we're going to hit a lot of obstacles. We really are. There's going to be a lot of things that come up in terms of stress and maybe in terms of health, maybe in terms of wellness, even when you get well. And you might have, again, a struggle in the future with hormones or whatever it is. I'll tell you though, you'll always be able to figure it out. You will. Stick with it, stay with the process, and do a lot of what I'm speaking about today, because you're not going to learn just about what I'm calling a rotation-based diet today. What you're learning is really a philosophy that no matter what, that if you stick with it, you're going to be able to figure it out. I truly believe that. It's a blessing and a curse, right? I work with some of the hardest cases on earth to try to figure out. I really do. And I enjoy it, but it's a lot of stress on me too, because I am fully invested with each person that I work with, whether it's with me or one of my health coaches. Because again, you can work with my health coaches, and then my health coaches also ask me the questions to help you get well. And a lot of the times in the future, I'm not going to be able to work with as many people in person. The reason is that we just have a waiting list now. We have a couple month waiting list. And of course, I want to always be able to help people, and I will. But really, one of the best ways to do that is simply run a lab with us or work directly with one of my health coaches. You'll still get my insights into what's going on with you. But again, that's not what today is all about. I just want you to know, I want you to look and be able to really figure this out for yourself of how to be your own doctor. I really believe that I want people to learn how to doctor themselves. That's what the Cabral Concept's all about. So if you're new to the Cabral Concept, I can't recommend enough just going back to like episode 100. You don't have to really do the first 100, although you're welcome to. It was a different voice back then. Still the same education that I wanted to bring you, just in a different voice, that's all. And another reason was to stick with it, right? Like it wasn't my best, but I did my best. And it's hopefully got a little bit better through the shows. But if you go back and you just listen to 2 shows a day, that's it. And you can be in the car driving, you could be at lunch. What you're going to learn is you're going to get an education in functional medicine. You really are. I believe that. But again, it doesn't have to just be my show. But if this resonates with you, you're going to learn all the steps along the way. And today is one more of those steps. So the whole thing behind the Cabral Concept is that, well, the concept itself is this, that if you change your body, you can change your life. So one of the things that I'm trying to help you with today is understand that food is medicine, but can also be a poison. But when you start to then figure out what's right for your body and what's not, here's what happens. You get rid of the brain fog. You have more energy. You don't have joint pain anymore, right? The allergies, the asthma, the stuffy nose, the autoimmune, the blood sugar issues, the weight, they go away. And once that happens, you're left with a life that allows you more freedom of movement, more freedom of being pain-free, freedom from brain fog, and now you can reach your full potential. So for me, as a naturopath, what am I really trying to do? Well, I'm trying to help people get well, but my real mission is to help you live your best life. That's honestly the bottom line, is to help you live your best life. And I know that you can't do that without being totally optimized, because I couldn't do it myself. And I don't think that I'd be able to speak to you truthfully today unless I had gone through my own hardships. So as much as we all despise it, right? You don't like where you're at right now in one part of your life probably, right? But there are probably other good parts of your life. Well, imagine that if each part of your life was going well. And so for me, I never had the health. I mean, even looking back when I was younger, I had debilitating allergies, right? I had a lot of issues. Like I had real chemical-based imbalances in terms of neurotransmitters, like real bad OCD and perfectionism and really bad temper, like all of these things that came out of I was living improperly with my body. I mean, I really was. And I had to rewire all of that. And so, again, I'm just trying to give you the understanding that you can change. You really can. You can become anything that you want to. Will it happen tomorrow? No. But hopefully you understand now by listening to the Cabral concept, it's not supposed to happen tomorrow. Because if you got well tomorrow, you wouldn't have gone through the journey. So you wouldn't have changed. You wouldn't have to have had to put in the work to become the person who is now of value to actually receive the great life that you want, right? You need to become a person of value, whether it's serving others or serving yourself properly, to understand what it took to get there so that you never want to go back. That's really what it's all about. Okay, enough about that. Let's get into today's topic, which is how to create your own rotation diet to figure out food sensitivities. But again, it goes so much beyond that because you might not even think that you have food sensitivities. But here's the deal. Even healthy foods are reactive. So there's a lot of people out there, which amazing, have run our food sensitivity test. They've run it with their kids. They've run it with themselves, maybe parents. Literally, we ship you a kit in the mail to the US, Canada, the UK, or Australia. You poke your finger. That's it. You just poke the finger with the lancet like you would do for checking your blood sugar for diabetes. You put a couple drops of blood on a card. I've done this with my two young girls when they were 2 years old and 4 years old. Okay. They're 3 and 5 now. And I looked at their food sensitivities. Okay. And I've done it for kids as young as a year old or so. And what we're looking at, well, even younger than that, actually, now that I'm thinking back, what we're looking at from that is an IgG reaction. What that means is that there are foods that you eat. Let's say that you're listening to this on Wednesday. Okay. Foods that you eat today, you're actually not going to have the brain fog, the joint pain, the feeling of run down, the stuffy nose, the inflammation in general until Friday. So your foods you ate on a Wednesday can literally react on Friday. And you're saying to yourself, what did I just eat to get this, this, and this? No, it's what did you eat 48 hours ago or at least 24 hours ago? That's called a latent-based response. That's a IgG. IgG just stands for immunoglobulin G, which is really just think of it as a white blood cell. It's an immune-based reaction. Well, this is a delayed response. Your body has immediate responses. Okay, think of that as IgE-based responses. There's also IgA, there's IgM. There's a lot of immunoglobulins. Well, they react in different ways. The very fast-acting ones, those are the ones that we think of as a real food allergy, right? If your child or yourself is sensitive to peanuts and you eat peanuts, well, that's an immediate reaction. That's not IgG, that's immediate. And that means there's some type of inflammatory histamine-based response. There's a swelling of the throat. There's a closing up of the airway passages, right? And so that's actually an immune response from the body. Well, we're talking about, yes, there are those, but there's also delayed reactions. And again, that's why I always recommend people should check their food sensitivities because believe it or not, there are people who test positive for immune response for avocados, for asparagus. I've seen bananas. I've seen green beans. I've seen eggs all the time, meaning like dairy is the number one that I see. And again, so I'm a clinical practitioner. What that means is that this is not me as a PhD, which by the way, I love PhDs. I have no problem with that. I read their research, right? But I put it into practice. So clinician just means in practice. That's all. So I see this every day. I mean, I run 1,000+ labs every year, like way over that. And so what I'm looking at for is I just see correlations. Dairy is hands down, cow's milk hands down, the number one food sensitivity. Not so much to goats, but yes, definitely cow. Okay. And then I see egg, believe it or not, egg whites is the number 2 food sensitivity. And then I see wheat and gluten come in. So here's the thing, like if you're eating eggs daily or at least 2-3 times a week, you should test for that. You really should. Because eggs aren't typically a IgE, which means like immediate base reaction, right? What they are is a delayed base reaction. Okay. So that's creating inflammation in your body a day or 2 days after you eat it. Really important to look at. All right. So here's the deal though. You can test for that, but that's a different type of food sensitivity. So there are other things such as, what about nightshades, right? A lot of people are like, oh, what do I have a nightshade allergy? Well, that's almost impossible to test for, right? Because what you're looking at is something specific to nightshades. Now, if you don't know what nightshades are, just go to stephencabral.com/podcast. And why don't I put it in the show notes today? I know that's going to be a lot more helpful as well. But if you go to stephencabral.com/podcast, you can always just type in nightshade or type in food sensitivity or type in whatever your keyword is, and you'll see previous podcasts on that as well. Well, nightshades are typically what we consider healthy foods. They're peppers, they're tomatoes, they're potatoes, not yams, but they are, or sweet potatoes, but they're potatoes. There are things like goji berries, okay, eggplant. So the truth is, though, when some people eat those, they have a real reaction, and the reaction is oftentimes the next day. So now the other part that goes along with that is also lectins. And lectins, again, come from typically healthy foods. They would be like the skin of a potato. They would be the skin of some fruits. They would be certain grains like quinoa, which is a really high lectin-based one as well because of the seed of the shell. Beans, again, beans have lectins. Now, we can make them less so by sprouting them, by soaking them, by cooking them longer, by breaking them down a little bit more. That will certainly lower the lectins. All right, and then again, I've talked about that on previous shows. But here's the deal. Some people are sensitive to that, but you're not going to really run a lectin-based test. Now, again, you can, but a lot of doctors aren't going to go specific and deep on with testing those. So you can figure all of this out, though, and I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it. I had never seen it written down before, but this is how I did it for myself, and this is what I pass on in my private practice and now to you, because I really want the Cabral concept to be an extension of what I do in my private practice, all right? So here's what it is it's a simple way to figure out what foods are bothering you, and I'm going to give you some really great examples and success stories right after this, because this is actually very simple of how to do it. Now, you're going to come up with 3 days of meal plans. That's it, 72 hours. And that's because the body's going to have a full reaction within 72 hours, like an IgG-based reaction that I spoke about before, a delayed reaction. All right, so here's what you're going to do. You have to get a hypoallergenic breakfast. So typically what I'm recommending is just a smoothie with blueberries. Most people are non-reactive to blueberries. They're one of the most hypoallergenic foods literally in the world, literally. But now you can go even beyond that if you wanted to. You could literally just do protein powder and water. You could do a green juice like I spoke about. But even a green juice, we're talking about lectins and things like that in there. So really what I'm talking about is typically just doing a smoothie for breakfast. Most people don't react. But of course, you should do a smoothie first. Just do a smoothie is the only different thing in your life. And just say, do I get positive results, meaning I feel better, neutral results, nothing changed in my life, or I feel worse after I drink the smoothie. So if you feel worse, of course, then that's not going to be your safe breakfast, because we need to develop a safe breakfast. So I'm just letting you know what we do in my practice. So we do a smoothie every morning with a daily nutritional support shake. Again, it's vegan, it's hypoallergenic. There's really nothing in there that should cause you a reaction. Now, again, in maybe 1 out of 1,000, it could cause something. So you're just going to test that as well. Now, if you do that every morning, why am I saying that? Because now you only have to come up with 6 other meals. That's it. So here's how we do it. We come up with a lunch for the next 3 days and a dinner for the next 3 days. You're not going to do a mid-afternoon snack. Now, might you be a little hungry mid-afternoon? Maybe, but we're only doing this for 3 days. So here's the point. You are going to figure out meal by meal, and you're going to ask yourself this: an hour to within 3 hours after that meal, do I feel good, meaning like good energy, good digestion? Do I feel neutral, meaning like I felt before I started this rotation diet? Or I feel worse? Something in that meal caused me bloating. Something in that meal caused red ears. Red ears are immune-based. You can see that immune-based, that heat-based reaction. A lot of people don't know to look for that. I've spoken about that before in the past. It might make your eyes water a little bit. I see kids all the time with food sensitivities with watery eyes. I was one of them. I mean, I wish I knew back then. I wish my parents knew back then, but they didn't. This is not common knowledge. It's not. Your doctors don't know this. This is not common knowledge. It's not. So ears get red. Sometimes the cheeks get rosy. Sometimes the heart rate speeds up a little bit. Sometimes you feel like you're panicking. You get anxiety after a meal. You don't know why. Sometimes you get brain fog. You get tired. A lot of times the eyes water. Sometimes you get itchy palms. You get itchy knuckles. Those are all signs of a food sensitivity. They are to something that you ate. So you're going to check for that after a meal. All right. So let's go through it step by step. You're going to do your smoothie in the morning. Simple. You'll just do blueberries, some water. You'll do your all-in-one. It's not supposed to be glamorous. Remember, you're trying to get well. You're trying to get well. That's the bottom line. We'll save the glamour for next week or the week after. This is just simple. It has to be super simple. And the reason is we have to control all of our variables. That's the way that I'm able to help people get well. So again, there are a lot of health practitioners listening to this podcast as well. There's a lot of great, knowledgeable people listening to this podcast who also want to help serve others. Tell people to limit their variables. That's how we help people get well when they've never gotten well before, is we create a set of variables that we know, positive, neutral, or worse, right? So, okay, you're developing 6 meals. That's it, because you have your 3 breakfasts. That's 9 meals, 3 a day, over 3 days. Super simple. But each one has to be different, okay? All your breakfasts are the same. We take that out. Hypoallergenic breakfast, done. Good. You feel good from it, then that breakfast is not the issue. Now, for lunch, you're going to have 2 variables, okay? For vegetables, meaning like you're going to choose 2 different vegetables. Whatever you'd like. Honestly, whatever you would like, because they're going to change with each meal. So let's give you an example. You're going to choose, at lunch, you're going to choose broccoli and let's say cauliflower. They're going to be cooked. Great. Then you're going to choose 1 protein, not 2 proteins. You're going to choose 1 protein. Let's say that you do chickpeas. Okay, you're doing chickpeas for your vegan-based protein. You decide that. And then you're going to choose 1 root vegetable for a starch, okay? Or you can do a grain, totally up to you, okay? So let's say it's a sweet potato. So now your lunch is chickpeas, a sweet potato without the skin, that's what I would do, because we're worried about lectins, and then 2 vegetables that are cooked. Now you're going to add olive oil as your fat at each meal. Why olive oil? Olive oil is, again, hypoallergenic. Very few people, if any, react to olive oil. All right, so now you have a complete meal. Super simple. So what if something goes wrong at that meal? That's our whole goal. Figure out what it was. Well, how do we figure out what it was? Well, in this case, it was only 4 total variables. Was it the broccoli? Was it the cauliflower? Was it the sweet potatoes? Or was it the protein, which in this case was the chickpeas? Okay, and you're going to think to yourself, which one was it if I had a bad reaction, if I was bloated? Have I had broccoli in the past? Yes. Does that usually cause bloating? Well, not so much. What about the cauliflower? Yeah, maybe, because I don't eat that too often. Okay, that's a possibility. Now, what about the sweet potato? No, I eat sweet potatoes all the time. That's not going to be an issue. What about the chickpeas? Well, I don't eat chickpeas too often, so that could be it. Okay, so now we're down to 2 variables. Could be most likely the chickpeas or the cauliflower. Okay, so now after the 3 days, meaning like we're going to come up with 6 different meals, you're going to test that new meal with broccoli, cauliflower, sweet potato, and now we're going to switch out the chickpeas. What are we going to have? Maybe it's shrimp. Maybe it's wild-caught salmon, whatever you want to do. And now if you're not bloated at that next meal, guess what? It was most likely the chickpeas, okay? That's how we're going to figure it out. But remember, people love to create these gourmet meals with like a dozen different ingredients. There's nothing wrong with that, but if you're trying to figure out what's causing the bloating, the gas, the allergies, the headaches, the migraines, the joint pain, you need to keep it simple. Okay, then at dinner, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to vary it. Okay, dinner's going to be asparagus, a little side of spinach. You're going to do maybe some chicken if you want to, and then you're going to do whatever you would like. Maybe it's cooked parsnip. However you want to do this, totally fine. But remember, we have 2 vegetables. We have some type of root vegetable, or maybe it's rice, maybe it's whatever you want, and then we have chicken, okay? So those are our 4 variables. Do you feel good? Do you have good energy after dinner? Do you feel no change at all, which is fine, that's neutral? Or do you feel worse? Brain fog, fatigue, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so you're just going to mark it down. It's that simple. Now the next day, you're going to say, how do I feel when I woke up? Do I feel tired? Do I feel groggy from whatever I ate the day before? Do I have a little bit of brain fog? Do my joints hurt, etc.? Now you're going to have your normal smoothie. You're going to create a new lunch, a new dinner. You're going to do the same thing on day 3. So what do we need to do? We need to just come up with 2 vegetables per meal. We need to come up with 1 starch or grain per meal, whatever you'd like to do. Okay, it's your choice, whatever you want to eat in your life, and then 1 protein. You can do that because literally you only have to come up with 6 different proteins, 12 different vegetables from the entire world of vegetables, or just eat 1 vegetable and just eat a little bit more of it. There's no limit to the calories you can eat. This is not limiting the variables. And then 1 starch. That's it. Like, honestly. Or don't even do it if you want. Just create your vegetables. Maybe instead of a starch, you can try avocado that meal and your protein. By doing this, you keep things simple. You literally have the same breakfast every morning because you know it works. You're going to change out your lunch each day, your dinner each day. Now, you're going to have those 6 meals. Which ones work, which ones didn't. You're going to look at your next 3 days. You're going to keep in the meals that worked for you. Simple. You already know that meal works. Keep it in. Now, you're going to change out the meals that didn't work and tweak them. Which one of those variables wasn't? By the end of, let's say, like 3 or 4 rotations, every 72 hours trying this again, you should honestly figure out 3 full days of meals that cause you no bloating, that cause you no gas, that cause you no headaches, no joint pain, no discomfort. And if you haven't, just stick with it because you will. That is the power of controlling variables. That is the power of really taking control of your life. And this is not difficult to do. This is honestly not difficult. You just have to be committed to it. But it can literally change your life. For example, just to let you know, I was eating super healthy, right? I had already been a nutritionist for a decade. Like literally by the time I was 28, I had already been teaching other personal trainers, their clients, Olympians, professional athletes, world champions, collegiate athletes about advanced nutrition, advanced anti-inflammatory plans, like really taking people to their next level, okay? And I love that. And I was proud of that I could be the person to call on for all those things. And I loved it. But I was still having issues and I couldn't figure out why. I would still have some brain fog. And my joints and my thumbs would sometimes occasionally hurt. Well, here's what I figured out when I started doing this myself, is that I'm one of a tiny percent. Now, a lot of people think they have this. And I'm going to do a review on the plant paradox in the future and lectins. But such a small percentage of population have this issue that we don't need to apply it to the whole. Meaning like just because there's a niche of people that are unfortunate enough to have this issue, we don't need to apply it to the masses, okay? So I have nightshade issues and I have lectin-based issues. Most people don't. Don't concern yourself with that if it's not an issue. Meaning like don't overwhelm yourself with all you could do when it's not things that you have to do. So for example, I can't eat potatoes with skins on them. I can't eat a ton of vegetables that are uncooked. I can't eat nightshades in generals like goji berries and a lot of tomatoes and those types of things, okay? Here's the issue. It causes me to start to slip into a rheumatoid arthritis-based effect, and it affects my thumb joints. Now, for me, I know exactly what to look for. All of a sudden, I get pains in my thumbs where literally I have a difficult time gripping anything. And this was really frightening for me because I love martial arts. I'm a practicing martial artist. I love sports, all of those things. And I wasn't able to do a lot of those. Love weightlifting. Wasn't able to do them because of this really debilitating pain. Well, that's what I figured it out to be. Now, I also, that was 10 years ago when I figured this out. Then I started working a lot on gut health, right? So I really got rid of the candida. I really got rid of the SIBO, the Clostridium difficile. I rebuilt my gut. Now I can have tomatoes. I can have potatoes. I can have anything I want, but I just can't overdo it. That's it. So I know it's in the background, but I just can't overdo it. So it's, again, like you can overcome a lot of these things. You just have to know what you're genetically predisposed to, or because of me, remember, you might not be like me. I mean, I was on antibiotics all growing up, and then I took 3 years of antibiotics straight every single day for over 1,000 days. And I took 3,000 capsules of amoxicillin. That destroyed my gut, okay? I've rebuilt it as best as I can. But remember, I took 3,000 pills of an antibacterial that killed a lot of my innate-based bacteria. So just keep that in mind. Like, not everybody has this. This is somewhat unique to me and like 1% of the population. That's it. But I figured that out because of this. Now, what have I helped other more normal people than myself figure out? Well, one person, when they did this rotation diet, here's what we figured out. The days that they did leftover foods from dinner the night before, they felt bloated. So that's what I helped them with. It wasn't any one food. It was leftover protein. Now, why would that be the case? Well, here's why. Protein starts to putrefy as it's left out and exposed to air. Now, you can put it in your refrigerator, but it's essentially dead food and it starts to accumulate bacteria. That bacteria in their stomach is what caused the bloating. Now, could they have taken more betaine HCl or bitters or more ginger tea or digestive enzymes? Yes. But that would just be treating the symptom. Really, they shouldn't be dealing with that type of bacteria in their gut. Okay, their gut does not like that. Okay, so here's the thing. We cut out the leftovers. We had them just do a prepared fresh-based meal that they could still bring. Like it could just be, again, it could be vegan-based, it could be paleo-based, whatever you want to do. I'm not here to talk about which diet is best today. I'm not here to talk about that. So that's what we figured out for them. After we did that, boom, bloating gone, no more brain fog after lunch. Amazing. And that was one thing we figured out. It was leftovers. Okay. For another person, believe it or not, it was fish. They didn't test positive to fish on any food sensitivities. They didn't test positive to fish with X, Y, and Z. They could not eat fish. Okay. For them, whether it's the bacteria innately in fish, whether it's the fatty acids in fish, whatever it was, they cannot eat fish. Okay. Now, they can't eat fish like cod or salmon, etc., but they could eat shellfish. So they figured out they could eat some shrimp. Again, wild caught. They could eat some of the shellfish, okay, clean versions of that. So then we found that out for them. Other people, it was exactly what I spoke about, meaning like they couldn't do, well, I didn't speak about this. They couldn't do raw vegetables. So they couldn't do big salads. But when they ate cooked food, like cooked asparagus, okay, cooked broccoli, not the stems, but the actual, just the head of the broccoli, they could eat that. So what we began to figure out was that a lot of people can eat certain foods. And again, all of these are healthy foods I'm talking about, right? I'm talking about healthy foods. But these healthy foods can interact with our bodies, and that's called bioindividuality. So what it is it's really understanding that we need to eat healthy. Of course we do. But we all have to be truthful and sensitive to our own bioindividuality. And so by doing something like the rotation diet, where you simply have the same breakfast smoothie every morning, okay? And then you do a different lunch for 3 days of the week and a different dinner for 3 days of the week. And you grade yourself, okay, right after that meal within 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, okay? Do I have more energy or do I feel fine and great? Do I feel neutral? Nothing's really changed. Or do I feel worse? Grade it. And then yourself the next morning when you wake up. How do I feel from how I ate the day before? You're going to be able to figure this out. It's just going to take a little commitment, a little time. But I'm telling you right now, by using our 3-day rotation diet, you just very well may figure out all the issues that have been causing you these sensitivities over time. So yes, I still recommend the food sensitivity test. I still recommend lab tests and all of those things. But in addition to that, why not do something right away? Why not do something now to get rid of those symptoms that are causing you to feel bloated, to feel a little bit of joint pain, inflammation, a little groggy, or just not at your best? And I'm telling you right now, it's absolutely worth it. What you get on the other side of eating the foods that are right for your body can honestly be life-changing. Thank you so much for tuning into another Cabral Concept. I truly appreciate each and every one of your listens. Thank you so much for listening to the show. And remember, today is the very last day to get your free bottle of full spectrum vitamin C on me with all qualifying purchases at StephenCabral.com/store. It is literally the same exact vitamin C product I use every day. Thank you so much. I'll talk with you tomorrow. Take care. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.